Well, hello and welcome to this week's video here on the Restosaga Classic Car Restoration YouTube channel. And this week we're looking at a new small project series looking at the differential of a Land Rover Series 3. Now, before I started making regular videos here on the YouTube channel, one winter, maybe 2 years ago, I had the Land Rover out in the snow. One of the rear wheels started spinning and then suddenly caught grip, and there was a mighty bang. Now, most of the Land Rover owners will know that bang at the back can sometimes mean that it's a half shaft, and that was what I thought it was originally. So I was just outside my brother's house, I pulled in, I didn't drive it, I pulled the half shafts out, but they were both fine. So that left me with a bit of a quandary. I disconnected the rear prop shaft to be sure and drove it home. So this diff never moved after it made a bang. I then pulled the diff out, because that had to be where the problem was, and there is some damage which I'll show you in a little second. So the good thing was I didn't drive on it, but it needs repaired. The rear differential that's currently in my Land Rover I think is of a Series 2 design, mainly because the front nose here seems to be detachable, but it's leaking. It is quiet, but it's really leaky. And I do like to keep the Land Rover fairly original. Obviously it's not the right colour and so on, but I like to keep the mechanics quite good. So I would like to fix this up and put it back in again, and then I'll have at least got the Series 2 as a spare, or vice versa. So let's have a closer look at it and see what we're going to do over the next couple of videos. So as regular viewers here on the YouTube channel will know, my Land Rover is fairly low mileage. It has 40,000, nearly 45,000 miles from new. It's been in my family from new, so I know that the mileage is genuine, but it may not necessarily have been serviced all that well because it was a farm vehicle. Now, I'm sure there'll be some sharp intakes of breath, because here we can see the damage that was caused to the diff, and this is the crown wheel. I suspect what happened was the wheels spun and then suddenly locked, and the pinion, which I wonder if I can turn the light on. There we go, light on. So this is the pinion down in here, and as I rotate this, that turns the pinion. Now, first thing, that seems like an awful lot of play to me. I don't have a dial test indicator yet, and I do intend to buy one. But if you rotate that round, there's some pretty nasty chipping there at about 12 o'clock on the pinion. So it's going to need a new crown wheel and pinion on there, and some of those teeth. There's another one that's got a big notch out of it as well. So crown wheel and pinion are both scrap on this. A couple of years ago, I did actually take this diff apart when the half shaft did snap. That's why I thought I knew where the noise was, and I replaced the two bearings here because it was full of metal swarf, having been towed home about 3 or 4 miles. It did give the whole thing a good washout, but I'm glad to report that I didn't drive it this time. There's some nasty grinding noises there, you can actually hear them. In the little spider gears in here, it all seem to be in good enough nick. There's no teeth missing. I will need to take them out and inspect them more closely, but I think a bit of disassembly and see what we've got is in order. Now, I'm not a mechanic, I never claimed to be, but Land Rover themselves say this is not a rebuildable unit at home. The rest of the Land Rover was rebuildable, so I don't understand why a differential has to be any different. So I plan to show how to do this. I'm going to work it out as I go along with the so-called Green Bible, which is the Land Rover maintenance manual, and probably purchase a dial test indicator and some nice tools, which is always a good excuse for some good tools. And strip this apart, get a new crown wheel and pinion, maybe even a good second-hand pair if I can, and we'll get this rebuilt to good usable condition. So let's start taking it apart and see what we've got. So just before we demonstrate how to take apart the diff, I just want to explain, maybe there are those out there who don't know what a diff does. Let's see if I can take this in my hand. The power from the prop shaft goes in through here and turns the pinion, which I've just shown you a little minute ago. The pinion, let's see, that's going to sit. The pinion you can just see turning in there, turns the crown wheel, which turns the carrier, and then the output comes down here to the half shafts. Okay, now a differential is because it allows the two wheels to spin at different speeds, which then brings this little carrier into effect. So if one of these wheels gets jammed or you're turning a corner, this carrier comes in and allows the two wheels to spin at slightly different speeds. Now, this is a lazy diff, is what I would call it, because it doesn't lock. So it will always feed the power to the wheel that has the least resistance. So if one side starts spinning, that is where the power will go, whereas it won't go to the stuck side, which is probably where you'll get better grip. I really don't like that knocking noise, so let's take this apart and have a look at what's inside. So just starting off, there's a little roll pin goes in here and another one in here, which will allow me to take these little levers out and unlock these here. So I've already taken this one out, and I'm just gonna tap this out here quite easily quickly. There we go. That's the roll pin out. That's the pairs in there, so I'll have to keep those to the side for safekeeping. Trying to keep the expenditure on this little repair to a minimum, so I'll find somewhere safe to keep all my bits and pieces. Just going to use a little screwdriver here to prise these out. Little locking key just goes into these open nuts. I'm not really sure what the name of them is, but they seem nearly like a big castellated nut. And that one there seems a wee bit more determined. There we go. Another one out. So I've just cheated a bit and got this going. There we go, detached. Now I've got a little board of the gentle approach here, and I know this is not an impact socket, but it's an old one and I don't have an impact socket, so here we go. So just while I'm waiting on the impact gun to charge, 2 bolts still to be taken off on that side. This is the crown wheel. It needs separated from the carrier by these bolts. They will also be getting the impact gun treatment. Round here, this big castellated nut here is held into the split pin, so that comes off. The pinion comes out, or the drive flange, sorry, which is splined to the pinion, comes out. This is actually a new one that I put on, purely because I put a new oil seal, so I put a new drive pinion in as well to make it absolutely oil tight, and this was dry, which annoys me that the one in there at the minute is not. So join me again in a second when the impact gun is charged up and ready to complete the disassembly. Sorry folks, lost a bit of continuity there, forgot to start the camera, but I got those 2 bolts out. Batteries on the charger again, but next up is get the nuts out of the crown wheel off the carrier. Going to do this in situ just before it jumps off the bench on me. And here we have it, one disassembled differential. Sorry folks for the bit of a jump ahead. I had a bit of trouble with the camera and it didn't really capture the video, so there's bits and pieces missing and I can't really do a reenactment, I'm afraid. So drive flange with bearing underneath, which sits in this race here. I've taken my gloves off, so I'm not going to start into this EP90 covered mess. This is the pinion with chunks missing at the bottom, a bearing, oh, the other bearing for that shaft, and then the splined end that goes into the drive flange. Charger for the impact driver, very useful. This is the carrier for the crown wheel, and in there the spider gears, haven't quite taken those out yet. I'm glad to report that these 2 bearings on either side of the carrier are actually in really good condition. There's hardly any wear on them, which I suppose is about right because I probably only did about 1,000 miles. from those getting changed to this problem happening, so probably going to be able to reuse those, which is nice. And down here, all the nuts and bolts, the two caps, and those are nearly like big end carriers, but those clamp on around the carriers for the crown wheel. Outer race for the bearing, that gear has nothing to do with this, that's actually out of the back of the gearbox where the overdrive goes into the Land Rover. And of course the housing, so there's a bearing race there and a bearing race there. Those are going to both need tapped out, and then I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to get this cleaned up. I'm not really sure I want to start into blasting it, because obviously the bottom here has threads that I don't want damaged, but at the same time I want it to be really clean and well prepared for a nice coat of paint to make it all look very tidy and presentable. Dry flange is unmarked, very reusable, just get the rust tidied off it. That bearing and that bearing both need to be replaced. There's some grooves in some of them, so those need redone. These are the all important packing shims that everybody requires a bit of patience with, so I'm going to keep those. One oil seal obviously getting changed, and that's the nut for the dry flange. I'm going to have to build some sort of carrier to lift this up, some sort of stand that'll be sturdy enough to take the weight of it, just because it's a real awkward shape to work on. Alright, and one tailgate for a Toylander, but obviously not related to the differential. Okay folks, so I hope you enjoyed that first part of this mini-series on how to rebuild a Land Rover differential. I'm learning and I'm hoping I'm able to teach you something along the way too. I'm not a mechanic, but I'm hoping I'm going to work this safely throughout the episodes even, and show you all that these things can be done at home and you don't need a huge amount of specialist equipment. I might be proven wrong, but I feel I'm going to be able to do this here in the home garage. So thanks very much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hit the like button if you did enjoy this, fire me a comment, even subscribe to the channel would be great, as I try to build this channel and bring you more useful videos like this. Also check out my other videos as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you again next week. Cheerio!